Speed, dexterity, the bond between canine and handler, the will to win. All-out dog sports competition. From sunny Scottsdale, Arizona, it's the Cena Sport World Games. Brought to you by the United States Dog Agility Association. The Cena Sport World Games determine who's top dog in flyball, flying disc, dog diving, and agility. I'm Dave Weiss, inviting you to stay with us for exclusive coverage from the Cena Sport World Games. And I am David Weiss with Ken Toch at the Performance National Standard Championships. Kicking off the 8-inch class is Dana Pike and Maybe.
Yeah, Dana and Maybe won the Grand Prix championships a number of years ago, and here they are now in our Performance National Standard Championships.
Can you explain the difference between the Performance and the Grand Prix event, Ken?
Yeah, the Grand Prix is part of our championship program, which follows the international standards for the sport. It has a little bit higher jumps, higher elevated A-frame for the large dogs.
Well, you have the spread hurdles in the Grand Prix as well.
That's right, and the hurdles also include spread hurdles and extended spread hurdles.
Dana Pike turning in a pretty good performance so far to kick off the class.
Yeah, that's about the only little bobble there in their round was coming into her feet there at the bottom of the A-frame. But no penalty for that, and setting a good standard for everybody else.
Indeed, a good standard. Dana Pike and Maybe with a time of 38.23 seconds, no faults. Out on the course now, Kimberly Cisak and Phoebe. Scooting right along.
They are moving along nicely. There's very little lost distance. I spoke too soon. Dog almost went off course, but she saved it and got him back on track.
And through to the finish, a respectable time of 34.14 seconds for Kimberly Cisak and Phoebe.
There you can see where he comes right up on that jump, almost off course, but she collects him back and heads him on to the right direction.
Here's Carol Barrick and Mickey. This is the 8-inch class of the Performance National Standard Championships here at the Cena Sport World Games.
Nice steady round. Losing a little bit of speed in here. Notice too, sometimes when the handler stops and waits, the dog tends to slow down. So the motion of the handler can help motivate the dog to move faster.
Here comes Mickey and Carol at a time of 41.89.
Comes out of the tunnel, a little bit of loss of speed there, looking for direction. The handler was way out ahead.
This is BJ, handled by Shirley Kostrick.
Yeah, they've got good speed right off the start line.
Wide, though, on the turn.
A little wide.
Can you explain the significance of the blue cones?
The cones strictly number the course, which is mostly beneficial in the walkthroughs prior to the round. Before the event gets underway, the handlers go out, walk the course, study the sequence, figure out how they're going to handle it, try to envision what their dog sees as they work around the course. And first time, of course, the dog sees the course is when they come to the start line for this final round.
Yeah, really wide.
Yeah, she's lost control here.
Well, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it went way wide after the seesaw, which is pretty early going. They had good speed, but they just out of sync as they handle their way around.
Out on the course now in the 8-inch class is Max, handled by Sue Roeder.
Look at there, he's taking a little bit of a look around. Something's distracted him. That's going to kill their chances for any kind of good outcome here. It's unfortunate. And they got it back together there. Let's hope they have a good finish. It's a tough break to come this far and meet with that result. You can hear the crowd supporting them all the way to the finish.
Absolutely.
It's one of the great things about this sport.
Max needed a little time to get warmed up, but when he did, he really got that motor running. Nice round of applause for Max.
And Sue Roeder and Max turning in a time of 54.22 seconds.
You see right there as he got up on top of the dog walk, he eyed something to the left, and that seemed to plague him through much of the round.
Well, on the course now is Raymond Yang and Tater. Well, Tater's taking his time.
Yeah, they're getting this view off to the left. It's really quite interesting. Something in the audience there distracting the dogs.
But, you know, at this level, a clean run is the goal, really. You know, good communication.
But when they get to the finish, it really boils down to the time of the round, and they're losing substantial time. Yeah, they just look like they're out of energy here.
But a clean round so far, if a slow one.
Saying that they do have the burst of speed, they just need to use it earlier in the round.
Right.
That is one of the difficulties in handling a small dog is, the perception that they can't cover the ground is a false one, and handler really needs to be aggressive in pushing around the course. Help
Well,
motivate
that's
the
more
dog.
like it. Adrian McLean catching fire right away here with Judy.
Absolutely. Look at this little dog go. Oh,
that's
you get the
too bad.
fly-off call for that. Yeah, this dog just has a lot of self-drive and certainly a crowd pleaser. But letting him go wide doesn't help, though, on the overall time. And out of the poles for 5 faults.
Now, Judy is an all-breed, which in some circles you would call a mutt. Isn't that right?
Yeah, all breed is our name for mixed breed dog, and we're really just, we're open to any dogs. Don't have to have a purebred to run in sport.
Kim James on the course now with Chip. I recall Kim and Chip being in the running last year here at the Cena Sport World Games as well.
Well, your memory is better than mine.
Yeah, I'd have to go back and check, but I believe they placed last year. Chip certainly has enthusiasm. Oh, my.
Pull a refusal there. Dog has to get over that jump on the first effort to avoid the penalty.
That's a 5-fault penalty?
5 faults. Yeah, with the exception of that one refusal there. Very nice round. Of course, the death of the refusal is that it also takes up extra time to correct.
Out on the course now is Pip, handled by Nancy Louise Jones. Pip is a toy fox terrier. A breed not so well represented here at the Cena Sport World Games.
And you got a fly off on the seesaw. You can hear the crowd reacting to it.
And off course as well.
Enough of a distraction to head into the wrong course. It's too bad. But the dog doesn't know the score, and he just keeps working. This has really got great personality.
And this is obviously a very well-trained dog as well. Just once in a while, that enthusiasm gets the best of them.
Yeah, I think the handler just got a little distracted coming off that fly-off.
Well, let's take a look at the results in the 8-inch division at the Performance National Standard Finals here at the Cena Sport World Games. Kimberly Cisak and Phoebe taking first, followed by Dana Pike and Maybe. And in third place, Carol Barrick and Mickey. And we'll head right into the 12-inch class. Out on the course first, Justine Davenport and Bounder, a Shetland sheepdog.
They have a lot of S turns in this course, meaning that the dog doubles back the opposite direction. And it's on those turns where they're going to be most likely to lose their time. And you can see the little bit of slowdown as the handler waits for the dogs around these turns. Some dogs are self-driven enough to overcome that, but a lot of them really need the movement of the handler to help work through that. So that becomes a training issue they'll need to go back and work on.
35.14 seconds for Justine Davenport and Bounder, kicking off the 12-inch class here at the Performance National Standard Finals. On the course now, Claire Lovett and Chance, a Shetland sheepdog.
You see those wide out turns as they turn to come back. There's another wide turn.
Yeah, a little confusion it seems.
This course just has a lot of turns in it that leave the dog out there on the flat. And it's up to the handler to really push them through those turns to keep this pace going.
Time up 37.64.
There you see one of those wide turns coming onto the seesaw. And then again, having to come back again.
Merritt Fuquay and Bodie out on the course now. It's the first poodle we've seen here at the Performance National Standard Finals.
Boy, something's really going on over there on that announcer's stand. That seems to be distracting these dogs. I'm not sure what's going on
Maybe
here.
it's the guy with the camera up on the platform.
It might be. I don't see anything else happening that would distract the dog. The judge is standing there, but they have to be in position to judge.
Well, and certainly that's part of the training is to condition the dog to ignore all the things that could distract.
Yeah, this is highly irregular. At this level, certainly you would expect to see none of that kind of thing interfering, but something here, and maybe the nighttime class having that added bit of effect. They just can't get over it.
Is there any difference in breeds, Ken? I mean, in terms of trainability and susceptibility to those sort of distractions?
Well, all dogs have a little bit different temperament, and you go from breed to breed, it's even more accentuated. But this is normally more of a socialization issue, and any dog can be susceptible to that.
Mm-hmm.
But this is ending in disaster, unfortunately, for them. To work so hard all year and to have this happen. It's really tough.
And I guess the bright side is that it is entertaining for the crowd every once in a while when something goes haywire.
Yeah, all at the expense of the handler, though, who's worked so hard. It's unfortunate.
Carol Dresden out on the course now with Fanny, another poodle.
You see a little bit of distraction there, the dog looking out to the crowd a little bit. But they're keeping the pace going, and she's doing a good job of keeping her dog focused forward.
Well, that's just it. I mean, the dog's going to keep its attention on something, so it's up to the handler to make sure that they maintain that focus.
Yeah, and this dog is clearly focused on its handler. Nice round.
No faults for Carol Dresden and Fanny.
Yeah, just that little bit of wide turn here and there has cost them some time on their overall score.
Barbara Bixler coming out on the course now, handling Sydney. Sydney is another Shetland sheepdog.
Good tight turn around that jump. That's what we need to see here. Oh, and she's jumping left and right there a little bit. Keep the flow going.
Boy, quick up and down the A-frame.
Very good. She did not let the dog run out past the A-frame very far before she turned back. That's
this dog is
good attentive handler.
Really flying. 34:15, the time for Barbara Bixler and Sydney, and that's a good time. Now we've got Amy Jensen and Aubrey entering the course.
You saw a little bit of acceleration once the dog made the turn to the seesaw. That's a good example of where the handler needs to really work the dog through the turns to keep that speed going.
Falling a little behind there, though, prior to the A-frame.
Yeah, the handler's putting a lot of energy into looking forward to be cautious, and that's costing time on course overall.
Now, this is probably a stupid question, but if the handler wanted to, could the handler pass under the A-frame?
No, they're not permitted to cross underneath obstacles. It would be a potential hazard for injury.
Kelly Mizigatis on the course now with Hoosier, a Boston Terrier. Good acceleration into the seesaw.
Yeah, this still letting the dogs go a little wide. You do notice, like when they turn and then when they refocus, you see a little bit of a burst of speed. As they run out into the flat, they tend to slow down. There she got away from the dog, which helped motivate him to come out faster out of that turn. She's probably going to turn out with a pretty good time overall, but she could shave a little more if she just worked the dog through the turns.
35.63 the time, not bad at all, and no faults. Here's Joanne Luderman with Tori, a Shetland sheepdog.
Ooh, came off the side of the ramp there. She touched the yellow, so there's no penalty, but it held him up on moving forward. This is a nice little sequence in the course, very challenging. With the angled jumps and the reversal of direction, it can throw the perspective off, and you saw what happened there with the refusal.
Time of 36.2.
And through to the finish.
Now here you can see the dog actually turned off well ahead of the jump, and the judge did not call the refusal, but you can see the time that it took to get back on track.
Which obviously is very costly. Up on course now, Steve Moon and Rocky. So Ken, help me out here. How far away from the obstacle does the dog have to get before the judge is going to call a refusal?
Well, there's no fixed limit. It's the judge is looking for focus on the obstacle and being in close proximity. It becomes a question of whether the dog's headed in the wrong direction, and they just look at it as a misdirection for which there's no penalty, or that the dog is mentally and physically refusing the jump, and they'll call the penalty.
I suppose that's why judges are judges.
That's why they're judges. It's all about the view from their perspective on the field. It's easy to second guess them from the stands or from the announcer's booth, but what matters is the consistency of them and their position on the field.
And let's have another look here at Steve Moon and Rocky.
He had a good clear round, just didn't quite have the speed to really move up in the placements.
Joan Meyer and Dustin now entering the course.
Up. Need to give a little more attention to that contact. Dog jumped off and over. That'll be 5 penalty points. And unfortunately in this class you can't make it up with time. So the dog with the fewest faults is the winner. There's a good, nice, tight turn off the A-frame coming back to the weave poles. You can see it. You lose a little bit of speed with the tightness, but this dog has good acceleration. Yeah, there you again. You see the missed contact, 5 faults. Probably keep them out of the standings, even though they have a really good time.
Well, let's look at those standings. In the 12-inch division at the Performance National Standard Finals here at the Cena World Games, it's Barbara Bixler and Sydney taking all the marbles. In second place, Justine Davenport and Bounder. In third place, Kelly Mizigatis and Hoosier. And we'll waste no time getting back into the action. Here's the 16-inch class kicked off by Barbara Damasio and Revel. You can see the discipline as the dog waits patiently for the handler's cue.
Yeah, they've been competing many years now. In fact, Revel was a past Grand Prix champion. So they're no newcomers to this level of competition. Though they are kicking out a little wide on those turns. With the bigger dogs, we expect to see a little of that. It's just going to be how well that the handlers can get them back on track.
Time of 32.90, 3-2.
And, of course, Barb is not a stranger to this. Having won the Grand Prix in the past, she knows how to overcome some of the shortcomings of the round, and she does a nice job of handling them through the round.
Here's Kathy Wells with Dory.
Dory is the most titled dog in the United States, earning over 1,000 qualifying rounds throughout its career.
No kidding. How old is Dory?
I'm not quite sure of the age. I'm sure she's up around 10.
You know, we have quite a few, I guess you'd say, senior dogs competing here at the Cena Sport World Games, and it's great to see how they are able to stay competitive right into their, I guess you'd say, golden years, huh?
Yes. A lot of people have a misconception that a dog's career is only about 3 years, but that's just really wrong. It's quite a bit longer than that. A lot of dogs competing at age 10 and some beyond.
Here's Sandra Rogers and Brink.
Look at those efficient turns, looking very good so far. Doubling back, a little wide across that jump. Very nice pace all the way through the round. Excellent.
Yeah, Brink really exhibits the athleticism and concentration you see in these border collies.
Yeah, right at the 30-second mark. That's going to be a tough score to beat.
Here's Sarah Scott Dow with Sweep.
Nice tight turn there coming out of the tire. Off the dog walk.
Almost early exit, though, from the seesaw, it looked like.
Yeah, she got it down, though. That push couldn't have been better timed.
Very fluid through those jumps.
Yeah, the dog's holding the line on his own. She's not having to be right with him, which is a compliment to her training.
33.81.
We'll see how that time shapes up. 33.81 for Sarah Scott Dow.
Yeah, held the contacts a little bit long. Eats up a split second here and there. Takes its toll on the overall time score.
This is Sharon Freilich with a border collie named Rip.
Time to beat is 30.09. 30.09.
30.09, the time to beat.
Nice turns. I like the way they're working the turns. That one probably could have been allowed to carry out further, but she's getting good acceleration on the 180-degree turnbacks, and that's going to make a big difference in their score.
A time of 31.50.
There you see the pushing out, really working the dog through those turns, getting tight turns, but they just didn't quite have the time to take the lead.
Well, now it's up to Sue Marshall and Sassy here in the 16-inch class at the Performance National Standard Championships. Fairly fluid run so far.
Yeah, they're looking pretty good, getting good, tight, efficient turns here.
Almost left the A-frame early.
Yeah, a little hopping motion there, kind of stuck them to the ground for a moment.
Time of 32.24.
And a time of 32.24 seconds for Sue Marshall and Sassy. Up next on the course is Dave Grubel.